We've shown you how CNN's Drew Griffin has constant frustration at the airport. Well, he's not a terrorist, obviously, but his name is on the government's terrorism watch list. And he got on it after criticizing the TSA. What it means for Drew is time-consuming delays every time he flies because he has to basically prove he's not a terrorist. Well, now, Drew has discovered that an author who criticized Karl Rove is on the very same list.
It's a little disturbing to think.
He has written 3 books about President Bush, all critical, and his toughest, Bush's War for Re-election.
And that book was released right after Labor Day in 2004, and that started the entire national controversy over George W. Bush and the National Guard.
Moore's research into the president's National Guard service dogged the Bush re-election campaign in the fall of 2004.
I accept your nomination for President of the United States.
After George Bush won re-election in November, Moore decided to go on vacation. It was January, and it was his first flight since that election. And something was wrong. He couldn't check in at home, couldn't check in at a kiosk. Went to the ticket counter and found out why.
All of a sudden, I find myself on the no-fly watch or selectee list, and traveling became very, very complicated.
According to the ACLU, his name is one of a million names and aliases that have a match on the so-called terror watch list. When Moore called the TSA as directed by the airline, he says a TSA employee told him he'd just have to put up with it.
And she said, the only thing I can tell you, Mr. Moore, is that there is something in your background which is similar to someone they're looking for.
Do you buy it?
No, of course not.
In a statement to CNN, the FBI, which manages the database, says while it does not reveal who is on or not on the list for national security reasons, the FBI does say nominations to the watch list are handled and reviewed by non-political, career intelligence and law enforcement officials who make their determinations solely on the basis of the available information and whether there is a reasonable suspicion to believe the individual is involved in terrorism. And the FBI says in several government audits, there's been no suggestion anyone got on the watch list for political reasons. Last month, Congress held hearings asking Homeland Security Director Michael Chertoff if people are being added to the list for reasons other than security. Specifically, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee asking why I was placed on the list shortly after CNN aired critical investigative reports on the lack of federal air marshals. Jackson Lee is expecting a response from Homeland Security Department in the next few weeks. Moore says he's been waiting for 3 years.
I'm stuck, like everybody else, yourself included, on this list with wondering either, am I someone's political enemy, or do I live in a country where the government is just utterly and completely incompetent? And neither one of those are pleasant thoughts.
We did ask the FBI for any information on any terrorist who shares Jim Moore's name. The FBI refused. In the meantime, this, Jim Moore says, being on the watch list has kept him out of the sky. He is flying much less.
And Drew, you continue to report on the problems with the terror watch list. You've got Congress asking questions now. What is the solution?
Well, the solution, the airlines tell us they've been waiting for this solution, promised for years now from the TSA. And to show you how messed up this is, Campbell, today Michael Chertoff again blamed the airlines for the problem, saying that they're not doing enough to fix it. And then he said a solution is coming, and the solution is the TSA.
TSA would actually become the validator, would match the list. Right now, the airlines do it. So we could internally correct the false positives with this data. And what would happen is the airline would send the manifest, and we would simply see whether the people on the list are the real bad John Smith or not the real bad John Smith, and then we'd clear everybody else.
Well, if it was that easy, Campbell, it makes me wonder why they haven't been doing it already.